creating courage.
Welcome to the Hopefulist, a daily talk show hosted by veteran broadcaster Wendy McClure. Join Wendy each day as she shares her life lessons that transformed her from perpetual pessimist to the ultimate hopefulist. The perfect morning show to get you caught up on the day's top stories while sharing insights that will lead to positive transformation and bring out the hopefulist in you. For more inspiration, visit Hopefulist.com. And now, here's your host and hopefulist, Wendy McClure.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today for your daily dose of inspiration and positivity. Starting out with the quote of the day: you can experience new lands from the confines of your comfort zone. That's right. You got to break out of that comfort zone. And you know what that takes? That takes courage. And that's what we're going to be speaking about today. Some good news on the pandemic front. It has come out that people who are vaccinated may start gathering with each other in small groups without a mask and social distancing. I see a light at the end of the tunnel. I hope that you are going to get vaccinated if you have not already. My husband and I have had our first dose. We are waiting on our second. He gets his before mine for some reason. I'm not really sure why, because I was before him. But, hey, I figured they scheduled them right, because I scheduled the second one when I scheduled the first one. For some reason, mine's 2 weeks later than his. But, we'll see how it goes. I've heard some stories about feeling a little ill after a second dose. We shall find out, and I will keep you posted. I've heard all kinds of variations. I've heard people say they felt funny for a day. I've heard people say a few days. I've heard people say a week. So, fingers crossed, maybe just a little bit of uncomfortableness to go through in order for the greater good, to not contract some disease that's just been, wow, it has just gone crazy. It has changed this whole world. So hopefully we see this light at the end of the tunnel. We will finally be rounding a corner and life will somewhat get back to normal. Speaking of which, it's been about a year now since we were told you have to quarantine for 2 weeks to flatten this curve. A year later. Yeah, it's crazy how long it has been. So, if you knew then what you know now, what would you have done with that last week of freedom? I'm pretty sure we went to a very nice restaurant in this area with our neighbors, which is funny because our neighbors were just about the only people that we saw through the whole pandemic. I don't know. Maybe I would have gotten in a trip to visit my sister. Maybe I would have gotten in a trip to Florida. I had questioned going to a RISE conference with Rachel Hollis in January of last year. It was in Florida, and I had contemplated going down for it. And I decided against it. And maybe I probably would have gone had I known that I was going to be in the house for the next year. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of craving right now. I want to get somewhere warm. And we are having some major warm temperatures this week. And I'm so excited about it. Today, we're getting up into the 60s. Now, tomorrow, for my area particularly, it's going to be a bit cooler because the wind is shifting out of the northeast, which is going to bring the coldness of the water on shore. So today that's not going to be a problem. Today it's going to be nice. We've got a nice land breeze going. It's supposed to be warm. Very excited about the warmth. You know what I'm going to do? Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm going to play some pickleball. Woohoo! And We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. It's just, boy, it just seems like forever. I mean, I know it's only March, but it feels like we've been waiting a long time for some nice weather. So if I had known back then what I know now, I probably would have tried to make some type of trip to Florida or just somewhere warm where I could just sit outside in the sun for as long as I want, you know? Kathy says, I was away the week before out west on a fantastic vacation. Then I hosted game night in which the theme was the Oscars. So I got to see all my peeps here in Beach Haven West. I did attend the Oscars game night. It was very fun. And the weekend before lockdown, I saw my grandchildren and my kids and were able to give them hugs, not realizing that I would not be able to touch them for months after. Even after that, I was out partying with a friend and celebrating early St. Patty's Day, so I really can't complain. I probably couldn't have done anything more than I did. Probably not. Marcy says she would have gone to see a movie in a theater. Yes. Our theater has now shut down. I don't know if they plan to reopen. I don't know if they shut down to remodel or if they just shut down. But we have no movie theaters around us at all anymore. Not at all. Now we've got to drive like a half hour to get to a movie theater. Beverly says, I would have hugged everybody I know. Won't it be nice to be able to like just sit down or before you sit down with a group of your friends, to be able to give a hug? These air hugs are stupid. They suck, and I hate them. So hopefully, like I said, soon we'll be back to getting together with some friends, some family, and giving out those hugs. Moving on to the topic of the day, we're talking about courage and how you create it. Just got done watching the Harry and Meghan interview with Oprah. That's right. It was made available on demand at some point yesterday, so I just watched it this morning. There is a lot of talk about how the palace is going to react to the interview and the things that were said and alleged in it. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, you know, they didn't need to say anything, that this institution has been around forever, and why did they feel the need to expose them in such a way? First of all, it took a ton of courage for both of them to speak out the way that they have. It's hard to go against the grain in order to speak the truth, but speaking the truth, your truth, is so important, especially now. You know, let's talk a little bit about Meghan and her revelation about contemplating suicide. How courageous do you think that is? Still such a stigma when it comes to that. And Harry's sitting right next to her saying, I was ashamed to go to my family and say that she was having these thoughts, because that's what we've been conditioned to do. That's how we've been trained to react. And when I say trained, you know, that sounds like a harsh word, but that's just the way the world was when we were brought up. You didn't talk about these things, and now we're trying to bring it out into the open, and I applaud her for using herself as an example in order to do that. The other thing is, it's really hard when people are saying and thinking things about you that aren't true. I think we've all had that happen to us on some level at certain points in our lives, but it's a whole other level when it comes to these two. Now, they are the center of tabloid fodder every day. And if what they say is true, a lot of it that was being said is just plain wrong. The things being portrayed were misrepresented, wrong, and nobody attempted to set the record straight. How do you think you would feel if an aunt or uncle was telling the rest of the family something about you that wasn't true, and your closest family member said nothing to correct the information? I imagine you would feel betrayed. I think I would. It's important to speak out, and it takes a massive amount of courage. When I lost my job, the last job that I had, it was under extremely unfair conditions. I stand by the fact that I did nothing to bring that on. In fact, it was the actions of others that brought about the situation, and I got caught in the crossfire. I've never been able to speak the truth about what happened there. Meanwhile, I know people are making assumptions about what happened. The people I worked with, the people who listened to us every day, the people in the industry, people that I've worked with in the past. Honestly, it just makes me look bad. No one wants to be fired, but not to be able to tell my side of the story has been hard. Unfortunately, I will never be able to tell the whole story, and it sucks. I mean, really sucks. So I feel you, Meghan and Harry, and I'm proud of you. I hope the backlash isn't too bad, and you continue your happy lives in California, as that is the only thing I can do now, is go on with my life in a way that is best suited for me. Make no mistake, though, it is hard to speak out. It's especially difficult when you know people have the wrong story. But being able to speak out is not only important, it's essential. Being courageous isn't something that comes easily to everyone, and myself included. My social anxiety always has me worrying about what people think, how I'm perceived, and whether people will agree with me and therefore like me. I think as we get older, we realize it is so much more important what we think of ourselves than what others think of us. If people can't handle my speaking my truth, then I guess they aren't my people. I don't feel good about myself unless I'm doing what I think is right. It's the reason I started speaking out on social media about the last election. It really didn't want to open up that can of worms or face the wrath of people, but it was more important for me to be proud that I stood up for things I believed in. And trust me, I got into arguments with people I've been friends with my whole life. I noticed that some people blocked me, and at first it really upset me. I don't know how we got to the point where we have to agree on everything in order to be friends. But once I got over the initial shock of losing friends, I realized they must not have been very good friends to begin with. If someone blocked me because of what I believe, that was their choice. I am entitled to my opinion just as everyone else is, and I'm also entitled to share that opinion. But it does take courage to speak out, especially when it seems you are going against the grain. This is why so many people stay silent, and that's okay if that's what's best for you. But I tend to speak my mind. I don't know if you knew this about me yet, and I don't like feeling as if I'm being bullied into not saying what I truly feel. But you do what is best for you, but I hope you will never be afraid to speak your mind. It's important for your psyche. If you want to speak out more, but you are afraid, start small. Say one thing that makes you just a tiny bit nervous and see the response. Don't be rude or in your face. Just speak your piece or have your say. Once you get through that first time, you will realize you didn't face all these repercussions you thought you would. That will give you a little more courage to try again and again. You know, it's these uncomfortable conversations where progress is made for the whole world. Things will never change or get better if we stay silent. It's important to say what you feel. It's good for you and it's good for the world. And a healthy discussion about the two sides is necessary for everyone to move forward. So start small and build up little by little. I promise you will feel better about yourself when you do or say what you feel is right. Yes, it is scary. So work that courage. It's like a muscle that gets stronger with use. So use it often. Use it often. Oh, it's Tuesday. I hope you have a truly badass day because you know I'm right here cheering you on.
Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist, hosted by Wendy McClure. For more inspiration, please visit hopefulist.com. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow on The Hopefulist.
Time to get your courage on.